Chair calls the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District Special Call Meeting, July 8, 2021 at 11:30 a.m. to order. Can we please pause for a moment of silent prayer? Amen. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Been motion and second, all in favor? Any opposed? Let me take that back. We have Ms. Lewis, who is on the telephone with us, so because we have a board member on, by telecommunications, we will do a roll call. I, Samantha Milton.
I, Jackie Lewis.
Rushion Bailey.
Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown. Can you hear us, Ms. Lewis? Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
can you hear us?
You're very muffled. I can't really hear you.
Well, if we're talking at any time and you do not understand us, please let us know. Or either can you text me if it's something that you need to hear.
Okay, I will.
Dr. Brown.
Good morning. First, we have approval of the school, of the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District School Reopening Plan. The executive leadership team worked together to revise and update our reopening plan for the 2021-2022 school year. And so the attached copy is available for the board, and it will be uploaded on our district's webpage. Some of the things included, school will reopen this fall. Students will return using the traditional setting. So that means all students will return to school. We won't have any virtual classes. We are continuing with our COVID safety precautions. Masks will be required. They are provided. We do have masks for our students and our staff. Also included in this plan, our plan for use of technology. We have the academic planning, family and community supports provided throughout this plan. We also have a clause in the plan that any changes due to COVID-19 will be made to the plan, and will be updated, and we will notify the public. And that's using our platforms. That's our district's webpage, our Facebook page, word of mouth, and our local media and news outlets. So at this time, if the board would like me to just kind of go through it a little bit more, it is basically the plan we had last year. We updated and revised, we revised some of the information pertaining to COVID, and our students are returning to the traditional setting.
Question, Madam President. Dr. Brown, is any consideration given to the younger or smaller students when we're asking students to wear masks all day? Of course, I think it's appropriate, but when you're looking at students that are 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, that may be a large task to ask of them.
Madam President, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Lewis.
Okay, so Dr. Brown, I did notice in the reopening plan that students will not be allowed to eat in the cafeteria. Will there be enough people to distribute the meals in the classroom and make sure that they are kept at the right temperatures.
I can address that, Ms. Lewis. The food service.
That's on page 15.
The food service.
I can hear you.
The food service department is currently working on a plan. What they will have is an option sheet to the staff, to the student every morning to place those orders. Those orders will be pre-made and they will be taken to the classroom, and they will have enough staff on hand at each school site. And they're currently working up that plan as we speak. But there will be enough staff on site to ensure that those meals are delivered and that they are up to food service standards upon delivery.
Okay, thank you. Madam President, one more question.
Go ahead, Ms. Lewis.
Okay, so, in regards to specifically the high schools, when you're looking at the bell schedules and them moving from class to class, is that going to be altered any so that there would not be any, overcrowdedness in the halls or on the breezeways?
Good morning. We are definitely working with our principals and specifically the high school principals as it relates to transitioning from period to period. We do recognize that we do, during those changes of classes, do have a good number of students transitioning, and our schools have various wings, and so we're working on ways to transition students according to the number of wings that we have. Also, just in working with our faculty in transitioning our students from class to class in a more orderly fashion. And this will have to be something that we proactively work out prior to students getting there, and then when we implement that initial plan, if we see that we need to adjust it to prevent too many students in the hall, we will definitely do that.
Okay, thank you.
My question has to do with online student registration. I would like to know, Dr. Brown, will there be secretaries or people on staff available to help those elderly people or people who just not computer literate? I know we have a lot of problems out there or concerns about that, dealing with people who really don't know how to do online registration.
Yes, ma'am, and we met with secretaries and office clerks yesterday to mention to them about our registration training for them, but we still have the two options. We have the online registration. We will put our call-in numbers back up so that those parents who called in last year who needed that assistance, they were able to be walked through the process. But we're also opening the schools for in-person registration, and that'll begin July 19th through the 30th for those who want to come in and do it, have that one-on-one assistance. If they're not able to make it for the to the schools, again with the online registration, we do have our call-in numbers, and we will have enough staff in the offices to walk the individuals through the process. But on yesterday, Mr. Johnson, we all met with the secretaries and the office clerks, and he went through the registration process, and they'll be taken through, well, all of us will go back through the registration training, session, but yes, ma'am.
Okay, and just piggybacking off that, so, all the numbers available on our Facebook page, and as well as if they Google the number, will they be able to find the number for each school?
Yes, ma'am. So we talked about that yesterday, making sure that all of the numbers on the school websites, our district's page, our Facebook page, we'll repost it so it will come back to the top of the pages. But we're checking all websites to make sure that every number they call is the accurate number. So we visited that as well.
Thank you. Any other questions, board members? Okay, Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District's 2021-2022 reopening plan. Any changes due to COVID-19 will be made to this plan as needed throughout the 2021-2022 school year.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the GLCSD 21-22 reopening plan. Any changes due to COVID-19 will be made to this plan as needed throughout the 21-22 school year. It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Aye. Samantha Milton.
Aye, Jackie Lewis.
Rashawn Bailey.
Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Next, we have the Greenwood Little Theater, Attorney Pudding.
Board members, on yesterday evening, I believe the board was provided with the lease contract from the Greenwood Little Theater, and I made a few notations on just my thoughts for your review and for your consideration before the board enters into the agreement. The main point that I wanted to mention to the board is that in the initial the contract that was sent to us, the terms speak to the lease shall be for 10 years, and I do not advise the school district to enter into any agreement for 10 years, but I would advise you to enter into an agreement for 2 or 3 years, renewable after that time, as long as both parties agree. I just don't think it's advisable to enter into that kind of agreement. Administrations change, boards change, a lot of things change, and to lock yourself in for 10 years, I don't believe you would, I wouldn't advise you to do that. Of course, I think it mentioned that the improvements shall be made, any improvements would be first approved by the principal, and I think we know that any improvements to any physical buildings would be approved by school board. The other big matter, they were asking to have keys to the property, and due to liability and some other matters, I would not advise the board to agree to give third parties keys to your facilities. In this situation, from my understanding of the auditorium at Davis Elementary School, it's not a standalone building, and so if they have access to the side door there, I believe that it would also allow them access into the entire building. And I don't know, Mr. Johnson, you may correct me on it. Wouldn't that give them access to the other part of that main building where the office is located?
It would, but we did speak with the group while we was there. It's a way that you can actually chain off those back doors to prevent access to the other side of the building. And that was one of the things that we agreed on, but in doing that, I mentioned to them that that limits the access to the restroom, which I think one of the improvements that they was wanting to make was to redo that dressing room area, which would, I think, take care of that problem about the restroom in the bathroom.
So board members, I do believe that it is reasonable that if you're gonna allow someone access to the building, they should also have access to restrooms. So I don't think you would, have a problem with that, but I still contend that, no third party should have keys to your facilities. So if there's any way that maybe security or maybe administration could be available to, be responsible for the, safety and locking of those buildings, that's just my advice to you. I think those are the main parts to this contract that I wanted to mention to the board. Yes, those are the main parts.
Madam President,
Go ahead, Dr. Moore.
would it be feasible, Attorney Pulley, for us to present a year-to-year, for them to ask for a year-to-year contract? I think that would be possibly the most, feasible, in my opinion. So what do you think?
I don't know if we have a representative from Greenwood Leflore here. We do?
Okay.
Great. Because I don't know, I can't speak for them, but if they're gonna make improvements to the, property, I can't speak for you, but they may not agree to improving your property this year, and then next year, you know what I'm saying? If the board doesn't mind, Sturtevant, I believe, drew up this contract, and so maybe if you all would like for him to maybe answer some questions as to, what they would like to do or would agree to.
Yeah, I definitely would, because that was my concern as well as Dr. Moore's. I had already told Dr. Pulley maybe could we enter into a year-to-year, but we would like to hear you.
First of all, thank you for permitting me to come before the board. And I'd like to address all of the points that you made, which were good points. And let me first say that we have not had a chance to discuss this beforehand, and perhaps could have ironed some of this out and then brought it to you and then get your questions and comments. But first, as to the term, it's our intention to go in and make some improvements. We haven't decided yet, but if we do make some significant capital improvements to the building, it's just, we don't want to spend the money without some assurances that we could be there for a long time. And I know, and I understand where you're coming from, the shorter period of time to work this out. We're asking for a longer period of time. We also feel that once we've been there for a while, you get to know us, we get to find out that our relationship, we think it's going to be a great one over time, that maybe we could have a little bit more leeway with whatever term you decide to come up with. But I think we can work with that. I'm just asking for something longer than year to year.
Well, even if it is year-to-year, it's already a given that we will be expecting you in the district or your company, right, organization within the, I'm not saying, from one year to the next and it's, questionable, but it's gonna be understood that year-to-year, as, our attorney stated, that, situations change in the district, and we don't ever know what our changes will be, so we don't want to, if anything, the context of the, school board or the district level, if that changes, then we want them to be able to say, okay, so this has been going on for the last 2 or 3 years, and, it was understood that we would be here for 7 or 10 years, but, the contract, as it stands, is here. I don't know, you all may have changes in your contract for us from year to year.
This is our concern. We're the Greenwood Leflore. We have a building out there off of 82, near the Greenwood Commonwealth, that area out there. And we're facing 2 decisions. One, we either need to move, which we would like to, because people love this auditorium that you have at Davis Elementary School. But we're going to either have to spend a lot of money there or leave the building. And if we leave the building, and we don't make the repairs at the building, it is going to continue to get in a state of disrepair. I mean, that's just what we're facing. And so we need to have not concrete assurances, but some assurances that we hope that we can work out on a long-term basis. The way we view it is that when we use the building, it's typically at night, for practices, when the elementary school is not using the auditorium, and during 4 weekends during the year when we have plays or concerts. Also, Mississippi Valley State, Dr. Briggs, we've met with him. He wants to use this from time to time also, again, when it's not in conflict with the use by Davis Elementary School. We think this would work out well, that the school would not have any conflict with us. Of course, we're going to work with the principal each year of Davis to let him or her know what our dates are to make sure they're not in conflict with anything the school has. And she could tell us what date she needs. And so we think that would work out fine. But to the extent, I think you can, I can understand your point of view, and I think you could see ours too, that to the extent that we need some long-term assurances, because quite frankly, if we lose Davis and we start going there, we're going to just be out without a place to go once we make this move, which we fully want to.
Go ahead, Ms. Abraham.
I certainly see both sides, obviously, but these people are very committed. These people don't get paid to do what they do to come from the other fine arts, or kind of opportunities for our young people. And on the 2 points.
Can you turn your mic on?
I'm sorry. I'll talk about it. Okay. But I'm saying their commitment is one for our young people. And I know I was talking to Ms. Powers, and I explained to her about our problem that our young people don't have instruments. They don't have uniforms. These are the people who will fight for the grant money to get our young people some help. And so I know so many of them, and I know their commitment again, they're not paid to do this. I understand we don't want a 10-year lease maybe, but I would say a 3-year lease. A 3-year lease, because if they go and they make changes that they paid for or gotten the money for, I would be, I think that's more reasonable if I were in their position. The other is, when he talks about nights and weekends, I don't know that you want to have school personnel that have to be available all that time. Could you maybe look into a lock that has a code that's changed every time? I mean, that's easy to do, and they wouldn't have access to the rest of the school building, but it would be, you can change those codes as many times as you want to get in. I don't, there's got to be some way. Nobody that's on the school payroll is going to want to have to deal with the hours they deal with, I don't think.
And again, Ms. Abraham, thank you for your comments. And Mr. Pulley and I had spoken, and when I asked him that is what he said exactly. He said he would agree. I mean, that he would advise or agree, I guess, to say that every 2 or 3 years could be even better.
And to also be transparent, you do contract with some individuals for 5 years, 3 or 5 years in other contracts, and so I wanted to put that out there so that we would be transparent that there are current contracts for 3 years, 5 years, so I can understand the need a more longer term than 1 year, definitely.
Also, with regard to the issue of keys, we don't mind paying for the type of locks where you have a code to get in. We're also considering putting cameras out there, which Davis would have access to seeing. It's just more security. I know, I think on one occasion, I believe that there was some vandals broke in. I don't think they did any damage, but they broke in. And we just want to deter that, not only for the elementary school, but for the Greenwood Little Theater. We think that would be a benefit to both parties. And then the one issue that you raised, I don't disagree with, and that was about capital improvements coming before the school board. I would just ask maybe if we could have some minimal improvements. In other words, if it costs less than $5,000, we can go to the principal of Davis. Anything above $5,000, we come to you. We plan on coming before you probably once a year, just to let you know what we've been doing and answer any questions you may have, since particularly here first year, but we want to do it every year, since this if you approve this, it would be a new relationship, and we want to work with you. So those are my comments, and I think I covered what you had covered there. One is, again, about we don't have a problem. I would just like maybe a $5,000 on the capital improvements going to the principal. Anything above that from the school board. The keys, I think hopefully y'all would be satisfied because listen, they work, when they're doing a play, they stay there sometimes after midnight. And they're starting at 6, and it's pretty late, and then sometimes the plays can go late also when the public is there. Also, we intend to invite, I don't know what you've heard beforehand, but we intend to invite every elementary school on age-appropriate plays. We want the students of elementary, and I guess a parent or both parents to come, as well as the teachers. And so we'd love for you to come, all as our guests, to plays of age appropriate, at no charge. This is a large auditorium. We're going to be able to have more people come in, and we want more use of the auditorium or for our plays.
Board members, I have one more observation. It does state that Mississippi Valley State University would also need to use the facility. And my question is, would they be using the facility along with you all, or would they be using it separately? And the reason why I'm asking is that our policy states that you would have to, of course, the certificate of insurance and all that. And I'm thinking that if MVSU would need to use this facility, I'm wondering if they also would need to provide that same certificate of insurance as well.
We intend at our cost to provide, and I want to make sure that your attorney in Florida is satisfied with whatever insurance, which I wasn't really sure what to put in there, but I want to put it in there so you're all satisfied with the insurance. We want to add Mississippi Valley State in there together with the Greenwood Little Theater as the two parties that we know want to use it and will use it. We had a great meeting with Dr. Briggs. He wants to partner with us. My thought process, we would be the primary, because we're going to use it more, the primary party with whom you would correspond and communicate with. And I can assure you, whenever Mississippi Valley wants to come in, assuming there's no conflict with the elementary school or with us, and I think there'll be plenty of dates for them to use it. And they want to have a better, and this is a way, quite frankly, to give them a better presence in the community. And it's right in the heart of downtown Greenwood. And that's one of the things we like about the auditorium is this location. We love where it's located. Did that answer that?
Well, we thank you for, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr.
If I may. So first, let me say, I'm certainly in support of this. I do have a couple of concerns or just things I would like to point out as it pertains to use of the bathroom. Of course, when you all are having plays and you have patrons, you would like to have those facilities available. So that's something else that needs to be taken into consideration, as well as potentially having a monitor there to watch the flow of traffic to ensure that those persons do not venture off into other areas. The length of contract, I think that's something that we can definitely negotiate because your point is well taken, as well as the point that my colleague Dr. Moore mentioned. I would like to ask, since it is mentioned as in-kind in the proposed contract, what type of utility costs could we potentially expect with having continuous use of the facility as we may not use it as much right now? And I know that may just be an estimate, Mr. Johnson or Ms. Washington. No idea. Okay. And my final two questions are being able to terminate the lease. Now I do notice on page 7, alphabet E, I think that's under 21. There's something that speaks to terminating the lease. Would that be sufficient for us, Attorney Pulley, or would we need some different type of language for whatever reason?
mentioning the last portion on 7, all of it, or just, I think what the spirit of it is basically saying the breach of the contract, basically. I didn't find any issues with the language of the termination portion.
Okay. And page 8, it states County of Tallahatchie, that will be corrected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And, oh, you're fine. You're perfectly fine. And my last point is, and I don't know if it's something that we can work out, but we talked about admission for students, teachers, and administrators of Davis Elementary School, and I understand it. But since we're a consolidated district, now all of the taxpayers, money is not funneled to one particular school, and I'm of the opinion that anybody that would like to come, should have the opportunity, but I understand you got to make money. It could be one Davis night this place, Greenwood Middle School night this day, just something to take into consideration, and that's all. But thank you.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. One of the productions, and this is not finalized yet, that we were thinking about doing this year is The Wizard of Oz. I think that would be a great time to invite all the elementary school students. And our problem is going to be, we don't know how many is going to show up. Maybe we have to do it 2 nights. And I think with time, we'll get a feel for when we invite students there, how many are going to show up. But no, I think that's a great suggestion. And believe me, the more people who come, the better for us, and we want them to be our guests at no cost to the school district.
Madam President, I was just going to say also, I think that this is limitless possibilities, because you can have workshops in the summer for our young people. You can even have maybe dual enrollment with the university in terms of some of the classes that they offer that would be associated with theater production and that kind of thing. There's just all kind of possibilities sitting out there.
And one more thing, you all, if you can agree to the terms of the length of the contract, and if you allow me, I can give it to Mr. Sturgeon to finalize any of those, that language that needs to be in there, and we can get it to you ASAP.
Yes, and we will encourage teachers, administrators, and students to become involved in our plays. We're always looking for great young actors, even if you have no experience. And this is just a great way to get before the public, which, a lot of people, quite frankly, don't like public speaking. They're just afraid of it. And this is a great way to get young people involved in speaking before a crowd and acting. And I think that they would love it. And we would encourage them to become a part of the Greenwood Leflore Theater.
So, Attorney Pulley, you advising us to just change the language with the years, and what did you just say?
If you all would agree to the length of the contract, I believe that
We can
other
go on the basis
particulars
of that.
can be worked out with me and Mr. Sturgeon. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, board members, do you all agree for 3 years?
I would say 5, rotate 5 and 5.
Okay. Dr. Burke,
I didn't understand, Dr. Moore.
say it one more time.
Rotate.
Well, it's understood that, they're wanting us to enter into an agreement for 10 years. So I say 5, which is understood to be, after that 5 is over, then we'll enter into another agreement or the same agreement, possible changes, if any,
Understood.
and it's standard, a standing, agreement.
So, and I definitely understand. I'm more along the lines of 3, considering that's typically what we would do for a contract for a superintendent. And you do have leadership change. And for board members, we're talking about we serve about 4-year terms. So again, I would say 3, but again, I do understand the majority of it.
Well, since it's, 3 for superintendent, what do you say, 4 for board members? So I was gonna say we could be in between, and somebody else said 5, so, oh, Ms. Lewis,
Mrs. Milton, what was the question?
well, we're trying to agree on a year of terms, 3, 4, or 5 years
for the length of the contract.
for the length of the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, they were asking us for a 10-year lease. So we're just trying to, so that Mr. Pulley and Mr. Stubborn can get together and complete, the lease contract. We're just trying to agree upon a 3-year, 4-year, or 5-year.
Well, why don't we go in the middle maybe? 4?
So would you agree with 3, 4, or 5, Ms. Lewis?
And they initially asked for how many?
10,
10?
yes.
I would agree to 3.
Dr. Bailey?
Yeah, I would agree with 3, and let me add, we may get in the second year of the contract, and we may say, Greenwood Little Theater, they're awesome.
Okay.
We would like to extend this for another 2 years or another 3 years. That's always an option, correct, Attorney Pulley?
That's
Okay.
correct.
And we may get there and say, hey, they're not good stewards. They want to party all the time. We may not need to go down this path.
Right, so
But that's just
we got 2 3s, I say 4, Dr. Moore,
4?
Ms. Abraham.
4.
All right, so, Dr. Brown, could you make a recommendation with 4 years?
The superintendent recommends the board approve the Greenwood Little Theaters, usage of Davis Elementary's auditorium for 4 years,
With them two working out the details.
pending revisions to the contract.
So moved. It has been motioned and second, all in favor. Aye. Samantha Milton.
I Magdalene Abraham.
I, Claudia Moore.
I Jackie Lewis.
Rashawn Bailey.
Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Next, you have your approval of claims docket, Mrs. Washington.
Can you get a microphone so we can hear you?
Again, good morning. We have a few claims that we're trying to go ahead and get paid since we haven't entered in. I do want the board to know that, that we do have 2 that are questionable at this point for me. We are still investigating something, the 16 section, parata share that we have to give to the school districts. But in light of some information I received this morning, I want to modify those things because the district will be able to retain some of that money, which is always a good thing. So,
Can you refer to the page?
yes, okay. I done shuffled all the papers. All right. I may not have the page number, but I do have, and it's a short, claim docket. Should be claim 948-781 and 948-778.
Okay, and again, what was that about?
The
You said,
amount,
you said we might be getting more?
we'll get a percentage of the money we're trying to give them.
Would you ask Ms. Washington to speak into the microphone?
Okay. I said we will get a percentage of that amount we're trying to give them. We found out we had a student in each one of those categories, and we'll get a portion of those funds.
Okay.
That's for the 2 claims you just mentioned.
Yes. So before he prints the checks, I can make the modification. We'll bring the revision back so that the board would know the amount, the correct amount. So you can either hold them, table them, or you can go ahead and approve them with the changes that has to be made to them.
Board members, what is your pleasure for that? Would y'all like to table those two, or just go on approve and come back with an amended?
I would suggest we approve.
Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the July claims docket for the payment of claims 948-762 through 948-787 with modifications to claim numbers 948-778 and 948-781 for the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District.
So it's 8-1.
Is it 948-781?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the July claims docket for the payment of claims 948-762 through 948-781 for GLCSD.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second, all in favor? Aye. Aye, Samantha Milton.
I'm Magdalene Abraham.
Jackie Lewis.
Rashawn Davis.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Chair will entertain a motion to close this meeting for consideration of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and second, all in favor? Aye, Samantha Milton.
I'm Magdalene Abraham.
Jackie Lewis.
Rashawn Davis.
Ayes have it, motion is carried.